Hi everyone and welcome, my name is Dora and this is my third update to Pan Those Eyeshadows for this year. So maybe you can tell I'm not wearing any eye makeup yet, and I thought I would copy what Steph is doing at the end of her Pan Those Eyeshadows updates, and that is to create an eye look with my new color story. I'm going to link to Steph's channel in the cards up here and also in the description box below. I know that she's taken inspiration from another project panner here on YouTube, so I'm going to list both of these women in my description box below, and also of course Alexy, who's the original Pan Those Eyeshadows creator. But first of all, let's go through the 5 eyeshadows that I've had in here for the past month or more. The first 2 eyeshadows actually come from the same palette, and this is the Revolution Forever Flawless Utopia palette, and I've had the shades in here. Let's talk about Fiction first. I've had Fiction in here for quite a while, I believe since the intro actually. At my last update, I was at 7 uses, and I've used it a further 2 times, and now at 9 total uses, I have finally hit pan. Super happy about that. Here's a swatch of Fiction. I quite enjoyed it. You know, obviously 9 uses isn't a whole lot within, let me double check on that actually. So I rolled this in at the beginning of January. But I made it work. Sometimes I dabbed it on top of an eye look, and sometimes a couple of times I used it all over the lid. Quite a few times also just to deepen out the outer corner. A versatile, shimmery, rusty type of shade. The second shade from the same palette is called Promise, and I had 3 prior uses on Promise. I used it a further 3 times, so I'm at just 6 total uses within this project on this shadow. And here is the pan. Look at that, it's massive. So this is 6 uses in this project, but I had 1 extra use in this palette from a different project. So 7 uses only to hit pan in a matte shade. Wow, new record for me. And now I understand why people say that it's really easy to hit pan in the Revolution Forever Flawless palette. I've got a couple of other ones of these, and my experience with those shadows was it was taking me a long time. So yeah, this formula on here was very easy for me to hit pan in. Very happy. And here's Fiction, just so you can see it within the palette as well, because I couldn't show it before, didn't want to spoil anything. I'm super happy this palette has now got 3 pans in it. And here's Promise swatched for you. I really enjoyed this shade. It's so pretty. Very easy to use. I often used it on top of a shimmery cream eyeshadow base, and I liked that a lot. I sometimes made it more purple by putting a purple shimmer from my That's My Jam Too Faced palette, my Pan That palette, on top of it. Other times I brought the pink out more, you know, just sort of, you know, depending on how I was feeling that day. And I have to say, I do like this color story. Maybe this is a contender for a Pan That palette at some point, we shall see. My third shade comes from the Makeup Revolution Forever Limitless Nude Rain palette here, and it's called Glamour. At my last update, I was at 4 uses with Glamour, and today I am at 9 uses on Glamour. So I've used it another 5 times. Those 4 previous uses, I only used my finger, dabbed it on top of a look. I was trying to hit pan in Serenity from the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. Once I managed to do that, I moved on and started using this with a brush all over my lid. Really enjoyed it. I think I've got a really nice dip on here now. I'm confident this is going to be a rollout, a pan hit next time. Here it is swatched. It's super nice and foiled and buttery. I love applying it. It works really well. It's a really nice formula. I do enjoy this one. My next 2 shades I rolled in at my last update, and the first one of those comes from my BH Cosmetics Do Not Disturb palette, and I randomized the shade Don't Bother. So it's this beautiful burgundy, purplish, plummy, dark shimmer shade. Also very soft. I have used Don't Bother 3 times. Here's a swatch of it. It's interesting, when you swatch it, the edge of it looks really brown, and then the center of it is much more like purple, plummy, shimmery. does have a nice effect, this one. I think I can hit pan in this fairly easily, hopefully for the next update. This one took me ages off the grid. I mean, obviously I've continued working on it to expand the pan, but initially to hit the pan, it was over 40 uses. This one seems much softer. Me time as well. This is another recent pan. Need to remember to update you on my pan percentage at the end of this video. This was a really easy pan to hit. I don't have the exact numbers for it, but I want to say it probably took me about between 10 and 15 uses, so much easier than this one. And maybe this one could be another easy one. So yeah, 3 uses on this so far, maybe another 10 uses and I could have pan on this. And now the color story is changing completely. This is the BH Cosmetics Doja Cat Visions palette, a monochromatic teal and blue palette. It's so stunning, and I rode in the shade Rustle, a minty, powdery matte. And here is Rustle. So I've also only used Rustle 3 times, and at least one of those times was just to blend out the crease. And I think for 3 uses in total, I know I've got a no pan left behind from a previous project on this. So 4 uses in total on this shadow. The dip is quite substantial. So I'm going to continue with this one. And if you've watched my Pan Those Eyeshadows before, you know that I tend to veto a shade every month. However, I don't want to veto any of the shades this time round. I think I'm really close on Glamour. I think Don't Bother and Rustle are going to be fairly easy for me to hit pan in as well. And then obviously these top 2 shades here, what was that? Fiction and Promise, their rollout. So I'm happy with that. No veto for this month. Who even am I? All right, let's get the spin the wheel. So I've got 43 palettes in here, minus the 3 that I'm working on in Pan That palette. That's also why my numbers are so low. But still, I'm not going to be mad at myself because I've hit 2 pans, so happy days. All right, let's see what the first palette is. Wow, Natasha Denona Glam palette. No, Eutopia again. Okay, working on a 3rd eyeshadow, and I already had Enamor in here last year, so obviously this palette loves to appear in this project. Fine. Yeah, why not? Okay. Let's shift the numbers round. Let's look at the Eutopia first because I've got it right here. So there are 15 eligible shades. Okay, let's do this. Shade number 11. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skipping over this one with a pan. 6, 7, 8, 9. Skip. 10, 11. A brown matte. Is this going to be too similar? Here's a swatch of it. I'm wondering whether this is too similar to some of the mattes I've got in my Pan Those palettes. I'm going to take a quick look. I'll be right back. All right, I've taken a quick look. I've swatched out some, not all of them, but some of the more neutral matte shades I've got in my Pan Those palettes. Well, in 2 of the palettes. One I didn't even bother swatching out. I think there is some kind of similarity up here somewhat. But you know what? I'm going to re-roll because I don't tend to go into these sort of shades anyway. They're like my least used shades. So no, I'm re-rolling. Okay. All right. So let's do this again. Shade number 13. Okay. So if that, interesting. So if that was 11, skipping over this, 12, 13, Aurora. A very pretty blue shimmer. Oh, it is nice actually. Here is that. Okay, I'm sticking with this one. I find this really interesting. There's definitely like a slight hint of a purple in the shimmer as well. At least when you swatch it out. Less so when you look at it in the pan. But yeah, it's beautiful. I'm gonna stick with that. Aurora it is. And then of course the Natasha Denona Glam palette. There are 15 shades in here, I believe. Yes. This is a fairly new palette in my collection. I got it at the end of December last year, so practically I counted it as my January purchase for winter. It was my winter purchase. I allow myself 1 new palette per season. And I have dipped into it already, not into every single shade here, But I've definitely created some beautiful looks with this. And yeah, I really enjoyed using this palette on its own rather than mixing and matching with other palettes, other shades. Let's just see what I get. Oh, I've already got 1 to 15. Let's go. Shade number 2. Ooh, I'm happy. Yes, okay, nice. This is one that I've definitely used already. And it's this shade here called Outer Eyelid. Very, very pretty, taupey, cool toned shimmer. Oh, nice. Oh, yes. That is very pretty. And I like these two together. So another shimmer shade in the other Natasha Denona palette, in the My Dream palette. That took me 19 uses to hit pan. Maybe I can repeat that. Okay, I'm gonna swatch out the other 3 shades that are rolling over so we can see the new color story in its entirety. And then I'm gonna try look. All right, here is my new color story. And here's the old one. Wow, okay. April, March. This is gonna be really hard for me to put it all into one look. I'm gonna make it happen. the finished look. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think I'm all right with it. It's not something that I would have typically done. I did find this color story to be quite challenging to put together and incorporate into one look. But yeah, you saw what I did. I used like a neutral base, cream eyeshadow base, and then I went all over with Aurora here. I probably cheated a little bit because I just didn't know how to use that many kind of lid shades in the same look. Then I went in with the Natasha Denona Glam shade. I know it said outer corner, I think. Yeah, well, I put this one lightly with a brush all over the lid too. Then I used Don't Bother from BH Cosmetics, Do Not Disturb, on the outer corner. I used Revolution Glamour with my finger sort of in the center of my eye look. And then I went in with Rustle, both in the inner corner initially, and then also very, very lightly dusted on quite a fluffy brush. I think on this one here, and then I mixed it in with my face powder. I can't show it to you now, it looks amazing. I'm working on it right now. It's a Franken with a big pan. And I used that to just blend out the crease a tiny little bit, so there's just a hint of mint on there. And then I cheated a little bit and added one extra shadow in here, and that I'm going to show you the pan rather than the actual palette. From my Pan That palette, shade number 1 from the BH Cosmetics Colori Vivace palette, just to make that matte Rustle shimmery. I also then felt that I needed to change my lipstick a little bit, so I just dabbed on top of what I was already wearing. I put this concocted lip balm tinted lipstick pot, whatever you want to call it. I just made it myself. It's so many different scraps that I melted together, and I keep doing that over and over again. So yeah, that went on top of what I was wearing before. And then I hadn't done that yet. I used a little bit of Super Dewy. I'm trying to pan this liquid blush. And then you probably saw me use like my fluffy blush brush, dip that on my lips and topped up my blush just to make it come together a little bit. It's quite grungy. I think I'm all right with it. Maybe without the earrings, actually. I think that is clashing a little bit. Might change my hair. I think I might film another video. Anyway, why don't we talk about my pan percentage now? Yeah, all right, okay. Pan percentage. Last time I was at 8.3%, and my goal for the end of this year is to be at 12%. So I've got quite a bit to go, and today I'm at 8.4%. So I crept up by 0.1. I'm all right with that. It's going in the right direction. It would have been at 8.9%, but things have happened. So since my last update, I've hit 4 new pans, 2 of them within this project, 2 other ones within 2 other separate projects, and it would have been at 8.9, but I received 2 new palettes as a gift, so I've just put them into my spreadsheet here, and that meant that my pan percentage went down from 8.9, where it technically should have been, down to 8.4. That's okay. I'm going to talk about that more in my no buy project pan. I'm on a low buy for palettes. I think because they're a gift, I'm not going to count them towards my spring allowance. I may still buy 1 more palette. I may not. We shall see. I'll talk about that there. But yeah, pan percentage is going in the right direction. I'm kind of like positive that at least it didn't go down, because these were quite large palettes. So if you're interested, I now have 57 eyeshadows with pan out of a total of 682 eyeshadow pans. And that's where I'm at. Hopefully for next time, I will have lots of new pans, not just in this project, but from other ones too. Really like trying to make it happen for Pan That palette as well. Here is my new color story, predictions for next time. Glamour, I think I'm gonna hit that goal for sure. Maybe one of these, Rustle or Don't Bother. I'm gonna have to play around with Aurora and the Natasha Denona shade. I might veto one of them again next time. I'm happy I didn't veto anything this time round. I'm proud of myself for not doing that. Yeah, probably next time I will though. We shall see. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night, wherever you are, and I'm sending you so much love. Take care. Bye.